Hello guys, Spartans, and in today's Wildcats video, I will be doing part 4 on overrated versus underrated. Before I get into this, apologies for the zero audio on the past video. The microphone was off, so I apologize for that. If you want to watch it, feel free to. But on part 4 of overrated versus underrated, I'm going to start with the units that I put on the thumbnail. So I'm going to start with Pizza Cat, and for those who don't know, Pizza Cat is a very strong anti-black cat, good generalist, and I'm going to say that Pizza Cat is fairly rated. There's a lot of people who say Pizza Cat is the best in the world. I've also talked to people who think that Pizza Cat is bad, mid. Most people will agree that Pizza Cat does its job pretty well, and in mixed stages, Pizza Cat can be a pretty good generalist. So I believe a lot of people will agree with that statement. I think Pizza Cat earned its stripes, and it deserves to be fairly rated. Next up, I'm going to put Uala in the slightly underrated tier. And a lot of people, say that Uala gets outclassed by Mina, and, that's true a lot of the time. But in Uala's true form, Uala becomes strong against relic enemies. Not strong, massive damage. So, think about that. Uala, instead of just being some random mid generalist, Uala gets its own niche, does 3 times the damage to relic enemies, and it's decently dispensable. I wouldn't say it's a broken unit or anything, but when Uala gets its own niche, Uala becomes a lot better. Think of Pizza Cat. Think of Pizza Cat if he didn't have a niche. If Pizza Cat was just a generalist, he wouldn't be very hyped up. But when you give a unit a proper niche and they're able to deal with that niche, then that's when the unit becomes better. And most people don't regard Uala's true form, so I believe Uala is slightly underrated. Will Nianum, another guy too. So when you're in 4-star stages and if you have him true formed, he's alright. But you will realize pretty quickly, not a lot of damage output, not a ton of health. But that's not his job. His job isn't supposed to destroy units, but his job, rather, is a sniper, a backliner, chip units down, and, over time, whittle bosses over. And Will Nianum does his job pretty well. A lot of people expect Nianum to be a full-time attacker, and that's not what Nianum is. Nianum is a sniper. I think Nianum's fairly rated, Nothing spectacular about him, but when you're in 4-star stages, he does have the longest standing range, so that's good for something. And on top of that, if he could hit his procs, then they never hurt as a bonus. So Nianum is fairly rated. He's a decent unit, and if you have an Elder Catfruit and you've already invested in Slapstick Cure on Mina, then I believe Nianum's a good, middle-of-the-road investment. Ramen Cat. I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to say Ramen Cat is slightly overrated. And Ramen Cat is a magnificent creature. I love Ramen Cat. But the Battlecast community makes him out to be the greatest meat shield of all time. And against his niche he sure is, but it's kind of hard to use him as a generalist. I was just using him as a generalist today, and he got absolutely destroyed. He helped against the relic part of the stage, but the traitless part of the stage, they one-shot him over and over again, so it was really draining my money. Against Angels, Ramen Cat has a great niche that not many units have, and that's resistant to Angels. And as a meat shield, you want resistant meat shields because they stay on for a long time. They're cheap and they're pretty dispensable, and they get a lot of value for their money. There's a lot of bang for the buck. So, Ramen Cat does a pretty good job there. But as a generalist, Ramen Cat lacks qualities. I wouldn't use him in a normal lineup like most other meat shields. And as a meat shield, sometimes you want meat shields that can be used across the board. Against this niche, Ramen Cat is one and only. It's a one of a kind, one for one of one. Just a perfect unit, pretty much. But, that's what everybody says. He's perfect, and no one really points out his flaws. So I'm going to say slightly overrated. Next, we have Awakened Mina. And Mina is a good usage of your Relic Cat Fruit if you've already gotten Slapstick in your run. I think Mina is your third best option. And with Mina, in her true form, she could hit units from up to 700 range away, which is pretty good. She has 435 standing range off the top of my head. I believe that's so. And with her range, it gives her, a lot of mobility there. She also has pretty weak stats, though. She's a sniper, so you don't expect a crap ton of DPS, but she also doesn't have a ton of health. And if you're fighting a mixed stage or with shockwaves or zombies, she might not be practical unless if you bring in the proper units to protect her, which take up slots and money. So think about that accordingly. I'm gonna say she's fairly rated because there are very few units like her in 4-star stages. And I stress that because, you're really relying on Awakened Muhammad Cat in your run until you get her. Those two really hold 4-star stages together when you're in mid to mid-late game. That's where I am. I'm mid-late, I'd say. But I'm just starting to get around to 4-star stages. And Mina is going to be one of my next investments with Relic Cat Fruit. I just got one today. I'm going to get Slapsticks, and then Mina, then Cat Dam, and then, we'll see what happens after that. Maybe Mecha Bun, but by then he might be obsolete, so we'll see. I think Awakened Mina is a pretty good unit. Does her job, and she fits the bill for a lot of stages. She's an example of she might not have many specific attributes, but she does her job well. And, she does alright. Next, we have Green Shell Cat, who is a very good tank. You could send him out, and if you have him at a high enough level, he could take a lot of hits. And, he serves his job well. He's a blocker, he stalls enemies, and he gives you time to build up your army. So, I'm going to say Green Shell is fairly rated. See him on a lot of decks, and I see him all over the place, but I think it's well worth it. People aren't just pulling your leg. He's a pretty good unit. I'm going to scroll through some of these. I used a lot of those guys up from the top. Sanzo Cat. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I first got Sanzo Cat, I thought everybody made him out to be some hero. And I really thought he was overrated. But after I've used him myself in a lot of strategies, I think he holds his own weight up the bar. Not only can he freeze or swell, it's one of the two, but you could also talent him and have him weaken enemies too, which is very useful if one of the procs don't work. Alright, he's slow. I remember that. He's slow. So Sanzo slows, and he can slow and weaken, so even if your units run into a slowed boss, the boss is less deadly. So, for a single spammable unit, keep in mind you're going to have to send 5, 10, 15 out at a time for him to be 100% efficient, but, for the price of an Uber, you can completely lock down a stage. So, Sanzo all the way. He deserves the respect he gets, in my opinion. You know what? I'm feeling controversial. I'm going to rank Slapsticks as well. And Slapsticks is pretty good. Strong against the Relic. Immune to Curse, which is always good because Curse is a pain in Relic stages. That's the premise of most Relic enemies. To curse your units, render them almost unusable if you bring in certain units. But, being immune to Curse is always a nice bonus, especially if you expect it from an anti-Relic. So, the premise of Slapstick Cats are that they are cheap, they're spammable forms of DPS against Relic. They have area attack, they have medium range, which is impressive. Most super rares that have a niche or most good super rares don't have range. But 355 range gives you quite a bit of comfort, especially since most relic enemies are short range attackers. So 355 range will keep you out of harm for the most part. And some of the talents, immune to knockback, but I don't see too much appeal in that. I just beat a stage with that most in it, and the knockback kind of saved my units. The knockback and slow allowed my units to uncurse themselves, and then I beat the stage, but I wouldn't invest in that. Maybe the weekend, thing of Sushi Cat, they're on the Sushi Cat's on the field, and he weakens the red enemies, and he's on the field longer. Or Kotatsu Cat, these units, he turns into Octopus if you didn't know, but Octopus Cat, he weakens the unit that he's resistant to, and it gives him more effective health. So Slapsticks, I'm going to say, are fairly rated. They are going to be my next Relic Cat for investment. I have Awakened Euron, and within the next few days, I want to get Slapsticks. I just got the Relic Cat fruit today, so that's going to be good. Keep you guys updated on that. And I'll rank one last final unit. And that unit's going to be Brave Cat, who is fairly rated. Brave Cat isn't used at all. Everyone talks badly about him. He's the worst in the set. I hear that all the time. And it's true, There's no unit I've used less than him in the normal set. In fact, I don't think I've used Brave Cat since Empire Cats. But this is my list. So Ramen is slightly overrated in my opinion. Still a fantastic unit. Can't argue with that. And then fairly rated, you can see we have Pizza, Neandum, Mina, Green Shell, Sanzo, Slapstick, and Brave. And it's slightly underrated because people haven't fully recognized his new anti-relic niche. I have Awakened Ulala. I think that's his name, right? But if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn notifications on so you never miss an upload. And also, if you agree, disagree, anything you'd like to say, leave it down below in the comment section. Spartan Cat signing off, and I will see all of you guys in the next one.